to be an interesting night. There's going to be a time where there's going to be some asking of questions. So we do have the microphone available for you, one in each particular corner. And so just make sure that when it comes to that, that you use those microphones just for a brief period of time. Can y'all hear me okay? Just a little bit more. Can you turn me up a little bit, Al? On number one. Woo. That's the volume? Okay, we gonna work this out because I need my hands free. All right, that good? Is that good? I'm just gonna have to talk loud. That's good? Test it. All right. I'll make sure I project. That's good. I'll make sure I project my voice. That's also, I need to get my cardioid microphone too. All right, so did I pray already? I didn't? Oh, okay, that's why things are discombobulated. I had to fuss a little bit. So for the people that need to be here, they need to be right in the house. I put it this way, if your house is in chaos, why not try to get into the eye of the storm for a moment? Father, thank you for this time. We honor you, Lord God, and we bless your holy name. We thank you for your kindness, your mercy, and your grace. And we ask you, Lord God, to touch these, your people, as we go forward tonight in a discussion format, Lord God. I pray that everybody is able to answer questions. I want everybody to feel safe, to be able to ask those questions, Lord God, especially as it pertains to things that are so close and hit home. We thank you, Lord God, and we bless your holy name. In Jesus' name, amen, amen. Well, for tonight, let me make sure my clicker is working. All right. For tonight, I got everything. You can't hear it? Okay, all right. I'm going to use that one. I've had that microphone for 4 years now, and I've only used it like 3 times. One of these days, we're going to get that straightened out. But anyway, due to popular demand, and a lot of people inboxing me about a whole plethora of issues dealing with family and family dynamics. First of all, as a disclaimer, this is not being streamed live. We're not going to do that, but it is recorded internally because I had some people who are on social media that do follow this particular ministry, and they're willing to sow a seed for what we're getting ready to talk about over the next 3 to 4 weeks. This format that we're going to be discussing is going to be in a discussion type format. So to your left-hand side, you see a microphone, and to the right-hand side, you see a microphone. The reason why they're not in the middle is because you can stay anonymous. And if we need to, I'll get Al to set up some type of way to blur your voice, like, just like them things on Timeline America where you have the blotted out face and things like that. We'll try to hook you up at least as far as the voice is concerned. But you don't have to worry about that. People are not, trying to be all deep into it like that. Also, those of you, I know that there's many people that are going through their own situations in their families in various different ways. And so what I want to try to do over the next several weeks is try to bring some clarification and some scenarios. Now, here's one thing, and I kind of learned this little tip of wisdom from Joel Hunter today. As a pastor, I am designed for pain. And what I mean by that is that you got to endure some things, especially when you start getting into this realm or in this particular area of things. It's very important that you all see me not as a tool to use against the other person in your relationship. Because I pick up on that like that. All right. So I am not a weapon. See? Because sometimes when you come to church, you don't necessarily, people, unfortunately, about 50% of the people that come to church don't come to church to change. They come to affirm what they already believe. All right. So if you are ready to change, if you're ready to put some things in place, then let's see what's going to happen. All right. Y'all okay? Yeah. All right. So the very first thing is this particular arrangement right here. Now, this is, as I said last Sunday, is God's standard for the family. From the top down, you have Christ, which is the covering of the husband.
The husband is the covering for the wife, and the wife is the covering of the children. That's the way that, if you just read it plainly, that's what it looks like. But in all truthfulness, it's still one particular common root. So everybody doesn't technically have their own separate things. It just means that people have different roles and responsibilities depending on what particular area or who you are in the picture. If you're a single person, you remove, if you're a male, you remove the wife and the children, and Christ is your covering. If you are a female or a young lady and you have no husband or no children, then Christ is your covering. You get what I'm saying? If you're a single male with kids or single female with kids, Christ is still your covering. You will need more of a covering to fulfill some of the things in case one of those two particular roles are not there. There is going to be a gap. There are going to be issues, and we see that. So if you're a single parent, please don't be offended by me saying that you can't be a woman or be a man or be a wife or be a husband, or rather be a mother and a father. It's kind of like the whole controversy around Mother's Day. If you're a single mother and the father was not there, then you have people on Father's Day hitting your inbox saying, Happy Father's Day, Happy Father's Day, Happy Father's Day. If you are saved, you should rebuke them and say, no, I am not a father. I am doing the best that I can. If you're a single father, you don't want nobody saying Happy Mother's Day to you unless you, okay, I won't even get into that. So the bottom line is that if you are ready to change and if you're ready to do things countercultural to what you see on television, which is into everything, you see how the news broadcasts and things like that and television has gone all the way over to the deep end because regular is out of style now. Okay. Leave It to Beaver, no, that don't fit me. Now it's Real Housewives of Atlanta. You know, I always use that particular example, or, you know, Love and Hip Hop. And a lot of those chaotic scenes represent a lot of things that are in people's lives. So what my goal is to try to bring some peace and some clarity, or at least give you a set of tools so that you can start working on these particular things. So let's go over it. When it comes to Christ, which is the embodiment of God, one of three persons, if you will, is the covering over the entire thing, the boss over the entire thing. And for each individual role, there's some delineation points. For the husband, he is there to protect the family, to lead the family, and provide for the family. Sometimes as men, we only focus on that one and then nothing else. When it comes to leading the family, this is where things begin to broaden out at, because we are teachers, or should be teachers. Okay. We should teach those that are around us. We should lead those that are around us. It shouldn't be our wives or our significant others or people, our girlfriends dragging us to church. As men, we should be to church first, because it helps people, it helps you to understand what type of mind frame that you need to be in order to have a family. As men, if you try to lead your family based on emotions and how you feel, you will not make it far in life. It'll always be chaotic. Somebody who's extremely emotional has no maturity. They're very fleshly. It's just everything's about how you feel, how you feel, how you feel, how you feel. And marriage and relationships, you got to get past how you feel. Maturity says, I'm going to do this despite how I feel. And if we are men, leaders of our household, we have to lead despite how we feel. If there's anybody that has to be an anchor and swallow their pride, it has to be the man. But a man that can't swallow their pride, or is always belly aching or venting without any change, they're very immature. And they go through problems until they grow up, or the relationship is just going to fizzle out. That's the truth. Right? That's the truth. Likewise, for the wife, there's comforting, also teaching, but not just teaching the man. You put it this way: when it comes to the teaching part, you could teach every member inside of your household, but I like to say it this way: you make suggestions, you offer advice. If you're, as a woman, trying to tell your husband what to do every single moment in time, there's this thing that we call in the country henpeck. Biblically, it's called nagging. The scripture says it is better to hang on the rooftop than to be inside of a house with a brawling or a cantankerous or a nagging woman. I don't feel like coming home tonight. I don't feel like arguing. I don't feel like dealing with this right now. And then the man just takes a long drive around the parking lot before he comes in because he know he got to hear it over and beyond. Nobody likes being fussed at. Now, you may be right. So it's not necessarily that you're wrong, but it's your delivery. That's all that matters. It's like when I'm teaching other leaders and I'm sharing with other leaders, I present the options before you, and then you choose from those particular options. That's what true leadership is. Because typically when you leave folk alone, they do exactly what they want to do. All right. Okay. All right. So that's the proper scenario right there. And yes, I did put in the DTCC family group that if you're not here, then that means your family is perfect. But since there are no perfect families, I'm glad that y'all are here. And hopefully it'll gain steam as the week goes on, because I'm going to be calling a couple of folk out on Sunday face-to-face. Why weren't you here? In the inbox. Or I'm just going to have to pull up at their house. We'll see what happens. I'm just teasing y'all. So the teaching, the comforting aspect. When your husband comes into your presence, it should be one of comfort. That's why your body is designed. Whether you got torpedoes or you flat as a brick. Who got that? Somebody got that. Ain't nobody get that? All right. Yeah. Who needs an explanation? Okay, I hope you don't need an explanation. Hopefully not. All right. It's not about your physical appearance, so to speak, but your physical appearance does give you a hint in that you should be ready to embrace. You don't have to embrace foolishness. You don't need to be like, baby, it'll be okay with a busted eye open. That's to the extreme. What it's talking about is, baby, it's going to be okay. I'm encouraging you. But we need to know the difference between comforting and nurturing and enabling. What is enabling? Enabling is when you know that your significant other has some bad or destructive behavior and you're always saying, it's okay, I could take it, I'm a ride or die. I'm going to stand in the paint. If you ever watch basketball, what does standing in the paint mean? It means that no matter who comes to the hole, you're going to take all the punishment. Sometimes you don't need to stand in the paint. And in basketball, sometimes they get out of the way. It'd be like, I'm not taking that charge. No, I have to use wisdom because I want to last in this game of basketball for a little while. So some things I'm not going to oppose, especially if it's not my duty to do that. Y'all stomachs turning already? Good. That's what change means. See, the sweetness is my humor. The bitterness is when you know that you are the villain, that stuff in your stomach starts turning back and forth. That part right there is the sour and the bitter part that you have to work on. Especially if you grew up in a family where everybody's hollering, fussing, and fighting, and arguing, and you thought that was normal because everybody stayed together. No, you just had a long-term, committed, dysfunctional family. Woo. All right. Churn. Can I say churn in the church? All right. Chilling in my wife's voice. They're to love and obey their parents. Out of everything that's going on, they should be insulated from a lot of the stuff that's going on in between these two individuals right here. Okay? Because Christ is the head. Now, what happens if you're not saved? This is going to be very strange to you if you're not saved, if you don't really believe in this particular model. All right? So to you, your model may be, I'm going to manipulate my significant other into loving me. Okay? Like, what is it a person said? You're going to love me. Yeah, yeah. You are going to love me. But if a man don't want to be kept, he's going to get away. What's in between your legs ain't going to keep him. How you talk, how you walk, and how you dress is not going to keep them. That's window dressing. Those are things that are outside. You know what's going to keep them? God and him. All right. Well, let me go ahead and go into something a little bit more lighthearted. But that's the whole gist, and that's the whole thinking behind all of this thing. You don't have to do anything that I say. Just like there's people that need to be here aren't here. So they have a choice. But my thing is that instead of being in my inbox or in Lady Martin's inbox, let's get into his presence. And let's try to iron some things out. That's the mature way. This is for mature audiences only. Okay. All right. My wife and I didn't get to 18 years or 20 years to being together without dealing with this. There were some holes in my umbrella. There were some holes in hers. But we always relied on Christ because there's no holes in his. Where you fall short, God got your back. Amen. So here's some other pieces that I want to deal with. All right. Is it working? Okay, there we go. As a healthy family, and this is kind of how I'm going to deal with this, is I got to give you a picture of what good looks like. And then you compare your situation to it, okay? So, as a family, some of the tips or the things that healthy families do is that they actually play together. How many of y'all have done a board game night with your family together? Anybody? Anybody? Okay. Yeah, y'all do board games. That's a good idea. Because some of us old folk, we don't even move our hands fast no more. I was like, I went from Technobowl to Fortnite, and I found my limit. I cannot go to, Technobowl came out in like 1988. So Fortnite is like one of those particular things where, okay, I finally said to myself, I have now come to the end of my video game tenure. So even with that, my son says, Dad, still try to play. And I go ahead and do it because, you know, sometimes we could get into our old foginess and be like, I don't even want to just play no more. But just you trying it, the children see that as quality time. I told him, I was like, I'm going to die like 3 times over. And my sons fuss at me when it comes to that particular game. And I just sit there and I just play. But they are enjoying family time because I'm taking interest in something that they take interest in. Another example is my wife and I, we go to Top Golf. That's like one of my things. And she can't play too good. But she tried. I'm the best. My son is second best. And my oldest son is like, you know, him and Lady Martin about the same. As far as points and stuff like that. So if you come on out, that you're going to get whooped by me too. I'm just letting you know. Unless you're PGA Tiger Woods. The point is not really the score, though. The point is the time that we spend together. Example, my wife sometimes fusses at the ball. And so what I do is I come over there and I help her. Okay? I want you to see the picture. I come over there and help her. Come on over here. These folk like demonstrations. They don't like just listening to everything. Some of them just already tuned out already thinking about Chick-fil-A. So Lady Martin, just go ahead and just do like this. Well, she don't actually do like that. Now here's the playing together aspect that shows value to those that are around you. Even if you're on a double date or you're going out with another couple, let's say, for example, that couple is going through some trouble in their relationship. By them seeing me go over and help her, even as a part of a game, it shows teamwork. You get that? Problem solving. You get that? And then the boys or the girls that are there, they'll see that mama is not too proud to ask for help, and dad is not too proud to assist. You see the deeper level in that? You think it's just a game, but it's more than that. Because sometimes your best lessons are not learned by fussing at everybody. Sometimes your best lessons are learned even through fun. Okay? All right. That's right. You got anything to say? Not yet? All right. We got a microphone over there in the corner. All right? All right. So that's number one. Number two is, it's going slow. Come on, computer. Come and work with me. All right. This one here. Can we park here for a minute? We may not get out here for the rest of the night when it comes to this one right here. Lord, have mercy. I don't know what's going to happen, but Father, give me strength right now. Forgiveness. Forgiveness. All right, let's go around the room. Love is a many splendid thing. What's your definition of forgiveness? Go ahead, get the mic. I'm volunteering you. What do you think forgiveness is? Whatever comes off the top of your head.
To me, forgiveness is something important.
Okay.
Do something wrong, you want to be forgiven. You have to pray forgiveness.
Okay. Give me an example of a time that you've forgiven somebody.
If that person does something wrong,
Mm-hmm.
and if it's something that's real wrong,
Now, put it this way: if you struggle in the area, just say so. Ain't nothing wrong with that. But if it's just like, okay, I'll help you out. Forgiveness is when you give somebody else a second chance.
yes.
Okay.
You either get on your knees or it's the person getting their knees and you said, okay, you're right, I forgive you.
Okay. All right. You're on the hot seat. We're gonna go back to that hands and knees thing because I saw something there. What's forgiveness? Can you go ahead? All right.
Well, I have a definition, but I feel like forgiveness, well, real forgiveness is when it doesn't keep coming back up in like next conversations or 5 months ago. It's like, oh, well, this happened, but it's like, I thought you forgave me for that.
Okay. So it's letting go.
Yeah.
All right. Anybody else on the other side of the room? What's forgiveness? Any volunteers? I'm gonna give it to Kai. Here you go. Mm-hmm. You look around. Here you go. This is discussion format. This ain't no preaching. This is involvement because I got to see where your value system is, or at least your thoughts. Go ahead. Forgiveness. What do you think about it? What is it to you? To you. When was the last time you forgave somebody?
I struggle in that area.
Say that again.
I struggle in the area.
Okay, that's no problem with that. Anybody else volunteering? All right, I think that's good enough. So forgiveness is basically, it's kind of like what I would say one of the highest forms of love. Highest forms of love. You know the person did you wrong, but you have made a conscious decision not to bring it up again. Now here's the problem. Sometimes folk don't like them two words right there. Lord have mercy. Doesn't that help with the forgiveness process? Oh, now y'all talking now. Yes, yes. Mm-hmm. So that does help. That does help, saying I'm sorry. But every now and then, and quite often, that does not happen. This is where, on your side, as an individual that may tend to hold things in or against somebody for an extended period of time, this is where it is your cancer that you got to clean out. Amen. It's your cancer that you got to clean out because the other person may not even be thinking about it anymore. But every time you walk by, I always kind of do it like this. I like love like my story. So there was this girl that I used to date in high school before late March. All right, way before late March. So I was about 16 to 17 years old, and her name was Kiki. Kiki, do you love me? Yeah. Her name is Kiki, and she act like a Kiki too. All right, no, y'all don't even know what I'm talking about. But anyway, so I was dating and we were talking and things like that, and come to find out, these two basketball players on one crazy day came by me and said, Dre, I hope you know that she was over to the house the other day. And I looked at him, and then I was like, well, I know what that means because you real popular. And so I confronted her, and I asked her, I was like, were you over with them? And she was like, were you over there with them? And then She never admitted it, but I knew that she was lying. And she kind of fessed up to it. And so at the end of the day, I broke up with her because I was like, I can't have you lying to me like that, especially about something so serious. And so we broke up. She was trying to get me back. She even showed up to church one time that I was going to, First Baptist Church of Oakland, 1025 Justice Street. And I was sitting there, but you know me, once I break up with you, I move on quickly. So I had in the hood what we call red bone next to me. That's a light-skinned person, fair-skinned person, for anybody who did not understand that nomenclature. And so I was sitting next to her, and we were just in church, and my quote-unquote ex-girlfriend who was trying to get me back, she saw us, and she just started hyperventilating in the middle of the church. I was like, please get her. That was in my mind. I said, get her out of here. That had nothing to do with the story. The part had to do with the story is that a couple of days later, I was walking in the hallway, and she acted like she didn't even know me. She just walked by. Oh yeah, we broke up, but she never said she was sorry. So when she walked by my locker, I felt those knots just bubble up inside of my stomach. I was trying to keep my head forward like it didn't even matter, but on the inside, I still was bitter towards her for the way that she made me feel. So when it comes to forgiveness, forgiveness is not you taking abusive behavior over and over again. I'm sorry. Do it again. I'm sorry. Do it again. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Eventually, there's going to come on a collision course to where I'm sorry is not going to be good enough. So this is where there's an art to forgiveness. Forgiveness, after several violations, has to have some type of barriers in front of it so that the person can earn your trust again. Yes, babe, I forgave you for not doing this or that again and again. But you can't come into this particular area of life, or I can't allow for you to do this, that, and the other until you pass this particular test. Every relationship has to be tested. I do it all the time. Tonight was a test. There's a lot of people who struggle in their relationships with no tools, and then they end up tearing each other apart, and then their marriage is hanging on by a thread, or they're already on their way to a divorce because they think that they just got it like that. No, that's not the case. So when it comes to forgiveness, Jesus said, you forgive until you forget. And eventually I forgave her, but it took some time. All right. So for all my people out there that hold grudges or bitterness and things like that on the inside, forgiveness is not for them, it's for you. It's for you. It's for you, because it'll eat away at you. How can you just stay mad forever? Chauncey done found somebody. He done moved on. You broke up with him in 1980 and you still thinking about it? 1990, you still thinking about it? Sometimes our unforgiveness unforgiveness for another person carries on into our current relationships. And then you're not fussing at the current person, you fussing at the ex. That's why you should never make somebody pay for past mistakes. Don't make me pay for what you went through with the other person. We are two totally different people. But if you're around a person that's always bringing up or accusing you of things that they went through from before, then they are still hurt and they're still dealing with some things. Now, as a person, as a strong person, you have a choice of whether or not you can deal with that. But here's my note for all of y'all folk that love punishment and love going through. Sometimes you got to step out of the ring so that you can heal, or otherwise the storm that's going on the inside of that person will affect you, and then you end up acting like what they are going through on the inside. Amen? All right. So you got to forgive each other. Otherwise, y'all going to be resentful against each other. Being quiet does not mean that you're okay with everything. Especially for my brothers. Just because you stone-faced doesn't mean that on the inside stuff ain't happening. Because it's going to pop out later on. You could be in Chick-fil-A somewhere, and y'all could be just talking about X, Y, and Z, but that thing that she said, or that moment when she emasculated you in Publix a couple of days ago, And she didn't say she's sorry, but it's still fuming inside of your stomach. And then all of a sudden, as soon as she reached for the chicken nuggets, then automatically you say, you always taking stuff from me. And she's like, where is this coming from? No, I'm just saying, no, you always taking stuff from me. You see me here trying to get my food and all this other stuff like that. And then everything like this. Or when your kids come by and they keep on poking at you, and then you grab them and then you start shaking them and say, stop. So all that aggression comes out to a target. All because on the inside you didn't really let it go. So forgiveness is not for the other person, it's for you. Because unforgiveness is like cancer to the soul. All right? All right. It takes practice. It takes practice letting go what is actually happening to, it takes practice to let go what has happened to you. All right? You have to. Are there any questions about that? This is your moment to say, what if I had 2 cigarettes on the bed and a Hennessy bottle and he smoked both of them and he left the Pall Malls there? Should I forgive that? It might sound humorous, but if that's where you are, then you say what it is. Because the way that I'll break it down from a biblical standpoint is you should, number one, not do that because you don't want to die later on. But on the other part is that you have to set boundaries. You see that? You got to set boundaries with each other as regards to that. Are there any questions with that? All right. I know that there are not any questions with that, but after tonight, you're going to have to work on that, or else your marriage won't be able to last. Because whenever you have unforgiveness in your heart, you're going to become bitter. And you're going to be resentful. And this is the reason why you have to be mature enough to talk about what happened. So the person who has an issue with you, you have to be mature enough to say, I have an issue. And the other person has to be mature enough to say, okay, let's deal with the issue. Now, here's the thing. I'm going to pick it back on what Steve said. If you say that you forgave me, I'll accept that. I'm just saying that's a scenario. But what about if the person really doesn't believe that you're sorry? This is when the begging comes in. Come on. And Keith Sweat, for all my young people, Keith Sweat is the man who cries all the time. All the time. You made a lot of money, though. You made a lot. Baby, please don't cry sometimes. I'm so sorry, sorry, sorry. And what you expect sometimes as a woman is that man to come on his hands and knees with tears in his eyes to show that he has a clean and contrite heart. And he'll never do it again. But I know so many people that cry and snot and go right back and do the same thing again. So you don't need a show. You need them to show you something. You get that? You don't need a show. You need them to show you something. That's where the test comes from. Are you repentant? If you're not repentant, then I got to keep my distance from you in that particular area. That's when you forgive at a distance because, you know, I got to heal. I'm a forgiving person, but I ain't going to just get beat up. And you shouldn't get beat up. People who just keep on going through stuff over and over again, sometimes that's a sign of low self-esteem. You don't really think very well of yourself. You don't have any personal standards, so you just let anybody just do anything to you because you think that you're being strong by standing in the pain. That's not how it's supposed to be. Once again, any questions? So before I go on, Jesus said that the way that you work on forgiveness is that you forgive until you forget. How many times do I need to forgive, Jesus? That's what the disciples said to him. And Jesus said 70 times 7. And that's a lot of forgiveness. I might as well shoot him by the time I get number 10. You ain't got to be sorry no more. But the truth, the underlying truth about that is that whenever that feeling of hurt starts coming up, especially if the person did change, if the person is changing, then you, as the person, have no right to keep on holding on to it when they've shown measurable change. Because sometimes holding a grudge is, you are changing, but I'm going to make you pay. I'm going to make you pay. Yeah, I see you keeping your job for like 6 or 7 months like that, but you lied to me about where you were the other night, and you were working at this other place. You should have just told me the truth. You just should have just told me the truth. That's cool and all that, but after a while, you got to let that thing go and move on. You don't need to try to make somebody pay for their mistake, because what if God made us pay for all the crap that we do on a regular basis? We'd have been dead like 5,000 times over. So if you want to be forgiven, then you have to forgive people. Because ain't nobody in here is an angel. And everybody done did some dirt. Because we're all made from the dust of the ground. So my folk that don't like to say I'm sorry, you need to work on that. People who don't say I'm sorry have a lot of pride. And pride will make you fall fast. It'll make your marriage fall fast. So you have to be mature enough to say, I'm sorry, I love you, please forgive me. I may not have it all together, but I'm going to make a sincere effort to try. And then that's when you give that person the chance. All right. Another thing that's very healthy when it comes to families is that you got to celebrate growth together. I can't tell you how many times I've seen husbands compete against wives or wives compete against husbands in the same household. One person gets a promotion, the other person tries to get a promotion too. Not because they both on the grind, but because I can't have that person do it better than me. But I thought y'all were on the same team. What I call this is like folding of the wings, if you will. As ladies, let's say, for example, you're a very outgoing, brilliant young lady, seasoned lady, you're brilliant, got a career. What are you going to do if you have a significant other that is not as educated as you? Don't have all the degrees that you have. But he still wants babies from you, as one example. Or he wants you to support him in something in your eyes that may not be like a superstar type of career. How you handle that? How you handle that? One or two things will happen. Either you'll humble yourself and you'll support that person's dreams and goals, because you never know where it could go or where it could be taken. Because sometimes everybody's not going to be at the same level career-wise. So you have to be humble enough, because you need to celebrate the good parts or the things that he is doing right. If you make $12 an hour and he's faithful and he loves God, that's better than him being unfaithful with 6 figures. Does that make sense? You balling. I'll give you a quick example. There's this young girl on my Facebook page, and she is super ratchet. Super ratchet. Lord have mercy. And a lot of it has a lot to do because of environment and lack of a strong father in the household or a godly mother. So she basically expresses her feelings like she does. And then I see on her wall that she's in a relationship with a boy that's been sleeping around with everybody in XYZ County. Now get this, y'all. The young lady made a video saying, I know so-and-so be out there tricking and doing his thing, but that's my bread and butter. That's my bread and butter. Why would I call the police on him? Because he's doing stuff or leaving dope in the house. Why would I do that? That's my bread and butter. I know he's doing that. I know he's been all around the place. And the part that made her upset is that her sister slept with the man. No, that's not the kicker. The kicker is that she was cussing her sister out, but won't say anything to the man, because that's my bread and butter. You have to be careful of having low self-esteem. She probably doesn't think that she's worthy of anything better than that. But because he has money, she's going to encourage him the wrong way. There's a difference between encouragement and enabling destructive behavior. And she don't even know if she got AIDS or not. but that's her bread and butter. So just because somebody makes more than you and got money, or they're excelling you, that doesn't mean that they're a good partner or they got it all together. Amen, somebody. Oh, I'm touching on the men a little bit with this one. Just because you're pulling the bread in doesn't mean you can do whatever the hell you want to do. That don't mean that. You can't. That doesn't mean that. Because that's where arrogance takes in place. You got to humble yourself too. The more power, the more influence that you have, the smaller that you need to be. Because your sons will pick up on that. And then they'll end up being stuck up. And then they'll see women as only need to be barefoot and pregnant walking around someplace. Be quiet, don't say nothing. I'll make the money. I tried that one time. I ain't tried no more. I said, I pay all the bills. I do this, I do that. Well, I do too. That's what Lady Martha said. She said, I do too. And you ain't do this by yourself. She said, you ain't do this by yourself. And I was like, well, I'm not saying I could do this all by myself. And then I started backing up. That tail that was stuck out this way started curling right up under my butt too. Because I was like, I don't want her to leave me because she's an accountant and I ain't signed no prenup. So, and she got all the passwords. So I need to tighten up real quick. Now, I'm being funny with that, but I hopefully no man in here wants to just stay in a relationship because of their finance. They're worried about their money being taken. Or you one of the men that says marriage is just a piece of paper. Don't ever use that argument. So is a social security card. So is money. So is an insurance receipt. So is all those particular things. All right, well, let me go ahead. Welcome to Divine True Christian Center, where God was your trees. It's just real life. So you want to celebrate growth together. You know what? When my wife got her master's degree, I cheered her on. Go ahead, baby. Jamari's wife is going to law school. So your duty is to cheer her on. Because guess what? Guess what? When she bring that $100,000 into the house, I'm going to be cleaning like a mug. Yeah, okay, yeah. I'm gonna take care of the kids. I'm gonna say, all right, you need anything? You need any water, dear? If Lady Martin blew up for singing or whatever, and she started bringing, I'll be just like the man, you know, the Tamla man and the other man. He don't make any money for that house. It's her. But what is he doing? He is cultivated and care. He is very strong because he knows how to handle all of that. Why am I gonna mess up this thing like this? No, I'm gonna serve her. I'm gonna do my husbandly duties, and I'm gonna swallow my ego. And she's strong enough to not belittle him just because, because that belittlement is something else. Okay, you got 4 degrees, and now I'm gonna, as a woman, I'm gonna put my neck on you because the European model of feminism is in my system. Did you learn that? There's some academia somewhere, which is one of the core reasons why the family's splitting in half. You encourage one another. So the man is supposed to say, even boyfriend, girlfriend, whatever stage, go ahead, baby. Reach for the stars. Because the most powerful encouragement is what comes from your own house. Go ahead, man. Go for the stars. My wife has to encourage me when it comes to this ministry and all the stuff that we got going on and all the other stuff like that. Sometimes I need encouragement because I'm trying to make it happen. But sometimes I'll be like, man, to the no, I don't want to do this no more. But then she will kick me in the pants and say, you know what? You need to get out of your feelings and you need to keep on moving forward. You know what you need to do. And I'll be like, all right, I'll go ahead and do it. So that's positive encouragement. If you want to push each other to whatever level that they're capable of and back off if they don't want to go any further. Some people are content where they are. Don't get mad. Don't get mad if he don't make 6 figures. That may not be his ambition. He may want to do something different. But y'all still partners with each other, all right? Are there any questions about that, encouraging each other? This takes humility because you should never try to compete with each other in the same house. let's say, for example, you single right now, and Mr. Charles want to take you out to Piccadilly's or Morrison's for some ice cream. Mr. Charles may not have the vocabulary, but you know he's a strong man, and he pays his bills on time. You're sitting across the table from him, and you have a choice. You know that you got it as a lady to pay for the entire dinner. But Mr. Charles says, I got it. Now you have a choice. Do you, as a woman, be like, I am woman, hear me roar. Pull out your platinum Visa card and bam, just like a thing of spades, and be like, nah, baby, I got it. I don't need your money. Or do you let him lead in that particular area? You let him lead. That's the art of if one particular spouse, namely the female, has a greater capacity mentally or career-wise, but still is able to treat the man like the man. You got too many examples of that. Joyce Myers, she is everywhere, but her husband, she always says that that is my backbone. She makes the most money, but he manages everything. You get what I'm saying? All right. I just want to touch on that. So encourage each other. Somebody's stomach turned right there, but I'm going to keep on going. Give each other grace. This is the second chance stuff. Who believes that when you get married or when you're in a relationship that you don't need to give nobody no chance? I said that, but some of y'all do that. One mistake. That's it. Mood gone. Ain't going to dinner. Ain't talking to nobody. There's nothing that he or she can say for the rest of the night because you were raised up in a strict household. And your mama and daddy ain't give nobody no chances, so you picked up that, and now it's carried it on into your current relationship. You don't give no chances. Nobody gets a break. Inside of a healthy relationship and inside of a healthy family, people don't need to be walking around on tiptoes. It's not respect when somebody's scared of you. You get what I'm saying? It's not respect when somebody's scared of you. I'm talking about male or female. The man ain't even got a, he don't even have no more cojones because of the way you talk to him. Do I need to say what cojones are? All right, you get what I'm saying. That's Spanish for balls. So the man don't even have that anymore because you keep on nitpicking at it. You pet them to death. He don't even have no more. You castrated him with your voice. Give the person some grace, especially if they're trying. Now, you put the hammer down if they're not trying. You got to push them. You have to have standards. Don't bend your standards for nobody. Hold the person accountable. But if they are trying, then what would you rather do? When it comes to your families, you have to look at it not as a transaction, but an investment. Some things take time. Some things just take time. I used to not want to wash no dishes for the first 10 years of my marriage. Ain't that a shame? That's a long time. I just didn't do it. You know what I'd rather do? I'd rather buy a dishwasher and tell Lady Martin, go ahead and put them in the dishwasher versus me washing dishes. Now, here's the backstory to that. My dad didn't wash dishes. My mom did it all. So I figured that was just the way it's supposed to be. I washed dishes when I was a bachelor in college, but that was it. When I got married, I just looked at the dishes. I was like, that's just the way that it is. Are you cold, Mom? You're good? Okay, all right. So I would call that a non-essential. That's not a deal breaker because everybody has their habits. Everybody has their habits. There's some things you got to look past. Okay. My wife has certain pet peeves. One of my wife's things is that she always likes to keep the lights on until 1 a.m. in our bedroom, doing stuff. And I'm just like, okay, turn them off. That's in my mind. Teddy Pendergrass, we don't know what I'm talking about. Turn off the lights. That's just one of her habits. Now, I could start an argument and fuss, or I could just say, babe, you know, I'm really tired. I know you're working and all this other stuff like that, but just go ahead and turn the lights off. And she'll get mad at me a little bit, but she'll like, okay. And then sometimes I just turn them off, and she'd just be in the dark. And then the light just come on right inside of the bed. I'm not going to start inboxing other females on Facebook over that. She's not going to start inboxing other men over me and some dishes. Those are what I would call non-essentials. You don't break up a relationship over that. You see what I'm saying? Because everybody has their weaknesses in the relationship. And so when it comes to grace, you got to give each other a chance, y'all. Ain't nobody perfect. Just because you're strong in one area doesn't mean you're strong in everything. No. You got to give, if there's anybody that should be able to give the other person a second chance, is the person that you love. Because people out there, and your boss man, they don't give you second chances all the time, do you? Bye. Here, give me your key card. Excuse me, come here for a minute. Can you go ahead and swipe your cell phone now? You'll get your check in the mail. Sometimes they don't give second chances, but at the house, you should at least get a second chance. At least, especially if they are trying. All right, let me keep on going. The next one is, I know I still respond. So yes, you could give each other second chances, but that right there is so important. Accountability. Somebody give me the definition of accountability in your own words, real quick. Accountability. Well, okay, let's put it this way. Take a responsibility. Holding that person to their word. Yes, all of y'all are right. So when it comes to accountability, you basically holding each, especially if the person has potential. Especially if the person has potential. If Lady Martin knew I was a person that was a committed type person. So when she saw me becoming inconsistent in some areas of my life, then she held me accountable to the standard. Holding somebody accountable is kind of like saying, okay, you're strong in this area, you keep on going. Because if there's anybody that should check you, boo, it's the one that you're next to. My wife can check me, I can check her. Now, here's the thing. There's the difference between checking and insulting. Let me park right here for a little bit. You know the person's doing wrong. You have a choice. Now, when that person make you real hot, you have an opportunity to insult them. You just nasty. You nasty and you trifling. I don't even know why your mama even had you. And then the man is just like, do one of two things. He'll either take it or he'll take it for a second. And then after a while, he got his hands around your neck. All right, y'all can look at me like you want to, like none of this stuff ever happened, but all right. The truth is the truth. Accountability doesn't mean insults. Accountability means, hey, I'm going to say what I need to say to the other individual, and I'm going to hold them to a standard without bending at all. That's the truth of the matter. Accountability. I'm tired one time. Y'all come on the inside. All my praise and worship people, y'all come on right on the inside. All right. Have Mike come on right on in. All right. Come on in, my brother. It's been a hard day at work. I'm glad you're here. So accountability means, hey, I get a chance to challenge you and tell you when you're wrong. Who likes to be told when they're wrong? Nobody likes to be told, Mike, come and sit next to your wife, son. Yeah, I know it's a long day, but it's better to have a long day with her than a long day without her. All right. Long day. Hard working man, I feel you. They can pop on back. Ah, you need some water? I got the water. Here you go, brother. You good? All right. So when it comes to accountability, you have to be able to have the ability to check somebody else for their bad behavior. How are you going to get better unless you hear what you don't do good all the time? How? Somebody else give me an example of accountability in a relationship. What you got, Alicia? Holding you to what you said. But you said it. You said. Now, how many of us try to get out of that sometime? How many of us try to get out of that sometime? But you said. Now, sometimes you can get out of it. Sometimes you can be like, hey, I dropped the ball. I've dropped the ball. My wife has dropped the ball. Can I give you a scenario? I'm going to give you a scenario real quick. Recently, there was a bill. I'm very particular about my credit. Very, very particular about it. And Lady Martin is in charge of the bills, and this one particular time, she forgot the bills, and there was a late charge on it. And when I found out about it, I was hot. I was hot because in my mind, I was like, I've been working all this time and all this stuff. Never mind that she's been paying stuff on time. And when I look at my credit report, it's all green. Okay, platinum card green. That's the status that my credit is at this particular point because of hard work that she has done. But I was hot at that moment, and I admit, can I tell her what I did? I hung up on her. I was like, you didn't pay it on time? That's okay. I didn't just hang up on her. I just said, that's okay. I'll talk to you later. Click. Because usually she knows when I'm mad at her. But let me tell you how she held me accountable. She sent me a text. She sent me a text message and said, I took care of it. And then my heart went, psst. Then I looked at my credit report and I was like, okay, look at all of the good that has happened. So I'm not going to harp on this just one mistake. And here's the thing. I had a choice to A, stay mad, or B, come back and say, you know what, I'm sorry for the way that I acted. I was holding her accountable, but I didn't need to be so harsh. You get what I'm saying? Now, we're two very intense people. She could take it, and I could take it too, because sometimes she done made me super black man red, bad, mad, boy. Lord have mercy, don't talk to me. I don't want to hear it. Nuh-uh, all the other. She done made me mad, boy, and I've made her mad too. Especially sometimes. There's bad mad, and then there's good mad. Good accountability is when you know that she's right, but you got to keep your position as the man in the house. You got everything swinging. You doing what you got to do. I'm the man in the house. You know what? This is the way my daddy raised me. I told her to sit down, shut up. I pay the bills. Don't say nothing else. But what are you teaching your son? Go ahead.
She had two options too. Send you that text message or bring us something from the past when you took out checks.
All right. And that's true, because I did used to bounce checks. That means you remember stuff too. Don't forget, you married to a lawyer. Father, help him now in Jesus' name. But yeah, that's true. That's a good point. She could have brought up my stuff to deflect from the mistake. Who knows what deflection is? Even Michael Ray Jordan Jr. said, I know what deflection is. You might do know what it is. Deflection is what? Somebody give me an example of deflection. Go ahead, sir.
Well, you know you're wrong, but you're going to point out something that they did so they won't harp on it.
Get the heat off of you.
Yes.
Yeah, I was supposed to clean the house and all that other stuff, but your feet stink. How come your feet stink all the time and you just take it all the way there so the heat will get off of you? But no, the house still needs to be taken care of. You need to do what you need to do. This is where your ego has to be put to the side. That is, if you want to last. Oh, Lord. Don't worry about music rehearsals. I think this is more important. So you got to hold each other accountable. Any other questions about this? Yes.
So what if you want feedback or you want accountability back, but the person's not like willing to, like they don't like to, like everything's
Go ahead, take the microphone. Lady Martin.
It's like a
Okay.
person avoiding confrontation. I can't hear. Like a person avoiding confrontation. Right.
Why do you think that happens? Some people don't like confrontation. I'll give you an example. My wife and I are two peas in a pod. There's some things that she doesn't like confrontation about. There's some things that I like confrontation. I happen to like confrontation. I'll give you an example. Okay. See, my wife doesn't mind confrontation if she's in the car with the windows rolled up, especially when there's traffic. She'll talk about everybody inside of the car, but she ain't getting out of that car. Me, on the other hand, I have the personality where I'll get out of the car. I'll give you a quick example. All right. I'll give you a real life example. Just a couple of days ago, my boys were at a bus stop, and you know how kids are being kids. And I had to have a long talk with Jaden about some stuff that was going on in the bus. So you know, kids, they got this thing where they're roasting each other. Roasting, they call it joning, they call it ranking on each other, talk about the dozens, whatever it is. So one of the kids was roasting, and they were going back and forth with each other. One of the kids said, "Do you have a boyfriend?" to my son Jaden. And I just kind of, I just had to, we were just talking one-on-one about this. One-on-one as he was coming from the bus stop, just walking. Because they were in the rain, and I just decided to just go ahead and pick them up that particular day. And so when my older son said that this is what this other individual said, and I was like, "Who is it? Are they out here now?" And I said, "Point it to him. Point me to him." And I kid you not, my son pointed me to him. I took the Jag and I rolled right up next to him. I said, "Come here." Just like this. I said, "Come here." And he was like, I said, "Come here. Did you say that he had a boyfriend?" He was like, "Yes, it was just a joke." I said, "He doesn't have a boyfriend. Don't joke like that with him anymore." And he said, I'm sorry. I took my hand and I said, "We cool, aren't we?" And he said, "Yes, we cool." I asked Jaden today, I said, "Did you have any problems today on the bus?" "Nobody bothered me, Daddy." Because you have to confront the right things. Now, if they were just picking on him and stuff like that, I say, "Son, you got to have thick skin." But there's certain things that you have to deal with. Certain things you have to deal with. So there's no problem with being laid back about some things. But if there's a major issue that needs to be talked about, then you can't be like, "Man, just blow it off." Because sometimes things ain't cool. You have to be able to deal with issues. You got to face things. My wife does not like confrontation, but there are certain things that sometimes it's not about, now here's the flip side of that. Sometimes it's not about whether the person doesn't like confrontation or not. Sometimes it's about timing. Okay. I had bad timing when it came to confrontation when I was younger. And if anybody has to leave, you can leave. That's no problem. But I had a bad problem with timing when I was younger. Okay. Early in my marriage, something bothered me that Lady Martin would do or Nikisha would do back in the day. What would I do? I would stay up and talk forever in the middle of the night. It'd be 12, 1 a.m., and things like that. And I'd just be talking to her, and I'd be like, "You don't understand certain things like that, and so on and so forth. I mean, why are you not talking to me?" And she was like, "I'm just trying, just too tired, Andre. I just can't do it no more. I can't mentally take it no more." And you know, really make me potato head hot is that when my wife falls asleep, she does this. And so let's say, for example, I don't feel like anything is resolved, and I'm just there fuming in the bed. And then I start talking to her a little bit, and I'll be like, Keisha, I still want to talk about, Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. I get up, I turn on the lights, I walk around the house, just like Willie Turner to talk about something. I just can't believe it. Then I will wake her up and be like, "I'm leaving." She'd go right back to sleep and be like, "Well, I'll see you when you get back." So it was bad timing because you should never make decisions when you're tired, hungry, or upset. Sometimes it's all about, for example, you want to deal with it then, but let's say, for example, he want to deal with it at a different time. Well, you got to check that. You don't say that. Okay, look, where's my lesson? If there's something going on in the house and there's a flaw, you never expose it in public. You got me? All right. You may be right, but you don't do that, though. All right. Sometimes it's about timing. Sometimes it's about, okay, let me figure a good time to deal with this. But on the flip side, if you never want to deal with stuff, you got to deal with reality too. It's important. You have to deal with certain things. I give you an example. In your business, if somebody don't pay for studio time, you just gonna let it go? You just gonna talk about it, be like, don't worry about it. I know you owe me like $400 in studio time, but you my boy though, you from the neighborhood, you from St. Lucie, no problem, no problem, no problem. That's in your mind, so you just kind of just let it go and let it go and let it go and let it go, but you got bills at the house and it's just stacking up. It goes up to 800 and 1,200. You just gonna be like, no, the other Steve gonna come out, isn't it? Now, you deal with what you value. You deal with what you value. So in a relationship, if y'all engaged, something like that, going towards that point, if you value her, then you'll deal with the situation. But you can always say, let's talk about this at this particular time. So that way, you both get what you want. You get the problem dealt with, but you get it done at a good time when things are calm. Let's go and talk about this over dinner. Let's talk about this at the park. Let's walk about this. We got to deal with it, because here's the thing. Not talking about it is not going to help you. That's just when things bubble up on the inside. And you start getting angry and then resentful, and then y'all start hating each other. Then you don't want to be around each other at all. Body language. Defense position. Open when your arms are down. Sometimes with your hands up, that means you're ready to receive. Ooh-wee. Yeah, I analyze people like that because it's true. I'm going to get off of that for a minute. Next up, what we got? What we got next? I'm going to zoom through these last final ones, and then I'm going to go ahead and get on out of here. All right. Praying together. This is very important. Families need to pray together. You don't just need to say, I'm the apostle of the house with your religious self. You've been in church all of your life, and your prayers mean more to God than hers. Man, you don't get out here with that crazy stuff, man. You know what the Bible says? If there's unforgiveness in your heart, God doesn't hear your prayers. It's like a big, giant, thick piece of iron over your head. So you thinking you're eating my Bible. Yeah, but Lord, hey, Charles. And God is like, man, look at this bouncing basketball up here. Because y'all ain't cool with each other. I can't hear what you're saying. Can't hear what you're saying. Because if you don't forgive, then how can I forgive you? So you got to reconcile with each other, with your religious self, your traditional self. You ain't finna hear what nobody else got to say unless you right. I tell you, I got to be right all the time, people. Oh, my goodness. You know what that is called? Pride. But you got to pray together about things like that. Prayer forces humility. Because that's when you're talking to God about something that you don't have any control over or you need assistance with. Ladies, if he ain't listening, then you need to pray for him. Put God on him. Sometimes the prayer is not answered for a couple of years. You don't throw him away. You put God on him. Sometimes it happens fast. Sometimes it happens slow. Men, you want her to do this, that, and the other, and she just ain't trying to hear it, but it's a deep need of yours. You communicate it. She says she'll try, but she ain't coming. You pray for her. Y'all pray together, all right? Come around the mountain. Go to church together. Hey, glory. This is very important. Newsflash. There's some of y'all that can't skip church. Some of y'all can't skip church. You skip church, it's like you coming up under the umbrella. And it's not really the building, it's the atmosphere of holy accountability to a higher standard. You know what you were like without God. When God came into your life, everything went on an upward trajectory. But then when you figured that once you up here, you don't need God anymore, that things start going in the opposite direction. It is very important that the family goes to church together. Always. There is no way around it. Because as two oxen, that's what the scriptures kind of symbolize a husband and wife or in a relationship. As an oxen, when you're trying to pull through this life together, it's better if both of y'all are equally yoked to each other. But if you got one person to be like, I ain't going, then that plowing is going to have you going in circles. And then the other person who needs God starts getting more ratchet, more fleshly, until they get into a pattern where they don't want to come no more. And then it spreads into the household, and then it gets worse and worse. When you know something is working, you keep on doing it, right? You got to. There is no exception to the rule. Well, pastor, well, you know, if I believe in God, that means I'm sanctifying the household. What does that mean? Sanctification means that you are holding the other person accountable to God in your household. It doesn't mean that they're going to be saved because of your relationship with God. It means that you got to hold them accountable to God, and you don't let the pedal off of the metal at all. Or else you're enabling bad behavior. And that kind of leads to this next one right here. Growing in the Word together. Woo-wee! Let's talk about the one on the right-hand side. Talk about families here, right? Because everything goes down. Parents that treat the church as optional shouldn't be surprised when their children treat Jesus as unnecessary. You know why it's so hard for some of y'all to invite people to church? Because their parents said it was okay for them not to come for years. But then you find out later on that's what they needed all along. You got to grow in the Word together. You shouldn't have a big old dusty grandma Bible on the bed and the side of your house that's never been opened. Well, you don't like to read. Okay, I feel you. At least turn on some church TV. I don't feel like watching nobody. We ain't got no cable. Well, you could turn on some worship music. You could put your phone there, because everybody in here got phone service, Metro PCS, all the way up to Boost Mobile, to Cricket, whatever it is. Turn that thing on and change the atmosphere. You can't just listen to Juicy J all day long, all week long. Blackboard, you can't just listen to that all week long. No, you have to change the atmosphere some. And so, you grow in the Word together. If you know so much Word, then why don't you share it with the person that you're with? Since you know so much Word, why don't you listen to the Word and apply it to your own life? Because there's nothing that's more destructive in the household than hypocrisy with the same Word that you like to hold claim to. That one didn't go over too well. But I tell you this, you don't have to do anything I say. Just look at the pattern. Before God, after God. With God, without God. It should be clear. Should be clear. Well, I don't feel like going to church, Mama. What in the what? Well, I just don't feel like it because, I'm my own man. I'm my own woman. I'm my own child. Who's the adult here? Which one? Who's the adult? Seriously, who's the adult here? Oh, you don't like confrontation. No, that's not how it's supposed to be. What happens if it's a blended family? Oh, Lord, let's talk about this for a minute. That ain't your child. So since it ain't your child, then you don't have jurisdiction over. But I thought y'all were married. Just because that's not your child doesn't mean that you don't have no say no more. It done got quiet. I heard a roach pass gas in the corner. Lord have mercy. It is your child. You do have say so. Now, if the other person's blocking that, then y'all need to have a conversation. What role do you want me to be in your life? Sugar daddy, sugar mama, or a father or a mother? You want me to just pay bills and be uninvolved with everything else? Or do you want me to be involved in the child's life? You can't be a single mother in a marriage. You can't be a single father in a marriage. It won't work that way. Or else why do you get married? Why are you together? So you got to get that word out. There's a reason why God has it there. Lord have mercy. Then you have to spend quality time. I'm almost done. We'll go ahead and get into questions. It's only been an hour. It feels like it's been longer, but that's all it was. Spend the quality time together and apart from each other. Spending quality time together basically means that, you see this right-hand example, just going to the park. But Pastor Martin, I ain't got all that money like you do. I ain't got, man, please, I don't spend money all the time neither. Sometimes I just like to sit there and do nothing with Lady Martin at my side because we're spending quality time together, or just going to the movies or going to the dollar movie right up there at Altamont Springs, a dollar movie right up there. And it's a dollar movie too because they always got popcorn everywhere. They just take the popcorn and just throw it all over the theater. It's one of the dirtiest theaters in all of Altamont Springs. But we together though. And we're going to pay that dollar happily. My wife would be like, put it on the card. I put that thing right on the card. It'd be like 4 tickets that come out. And receipts come out one after another. We show our tickets and we go right in there. We're spending quality time together. Do you have any good family memories of y'all together? Those fun times, them pictures that you be perpetrating with on Facebook where everybody's just happy all together? Those are good moments. So I encourage that you do that. But you can't do everything with your family. We're trying to practice praise and worship. Hey, brother, you need to pay the extra money to get that door. See, Lady Martin, see, what I don't like is when church folk act like that they on hunch. They don't do none of that stuff. They don't do none of that. They don't have sex. They none of that. Nobody got no breasts, none of that stuff. Nobody never be naked. All y'all go to bed with armor on. All of y'all. Date nights are important. You don't need to carry your kids with you everywhere. Yay, glory. I felt that one. But they little. They got all night daycares. You stuff their butts inside of there, and then you praise and worship with your husband and wife. We can't go all the way to the house. All you have to do is pull over to a dark parking lot. I don't think it take all that. Well, you might need some spice in your life. Date night. We do date nights here, and we're going to bring that back at our church too. We want some of y'all to have children. We want y'all to have some time together because, sometimes you can't put your kids with everybody, especially if they're, I don't trust none of my relatives. You might be at that stage. Okay. But we are going to make it possible for you to be able to drop them things off. Because everybody, now don't act like that. I just love my baby. Sometimes they're things. Thing 1 and thing 2, thing 3, thing 4, and thing 5. And lovely relations helps you to de-stress yourself. And so if you ain't getting none all the time, you're going to be stressed all the time. So you got to spend quality time together and apart from each other. I don't want my whole family around me all the time. Sometimes I got to have some me time. Value that as well. All right, coming around the mountain. I don't need no music. I think the laughter is the music. Here's the part right here. Are there any questions? Any questions? This is not streaming, first of all, but there's a microphone right there and a microphone right there. This is a time where you could ask the pastor, ask me anything. Now, you can't control what I'm going to say. So enter at your own risk. But I ain't going to put your business out there. I promise you that. Come on up here, Lady Martin. Maybe they'll feel better with you asking the question because you're up here with me. Yes. Don't be scared. Okay, I do one of Achilles type things. I'm asking for a friend. Asking for a friend. Who asking for a friend? Where Mike at? Oh, okay. All right. Go ahead and ask. You got people texting you questions? That's fine. I'll put it in. Okay, so somebody text a question. Anybody got any questions? Don't inbox me. Ask the question now. But Pastor Martin, what happens if if he curved? Somebody you better ask a question or it's going to get worse and worse. Go ahead, brother. Okay, go ahead. Thank you, Jamari.
How do you handle the frustration when you feel you're not getting through to your partner, or you're trying to express a concern and you try to do it in different ways, but you feel like you're hitting a brick wall? What is your suggestion?
Communication. Okay, so I'll just put it. You asking for a friend, so you asking for a friend. All right. So I've had to deal with this sometimes, and over the years, I think sometimes to myself that I'm a great communicator, especially when it comes to my frustrations. And Lady Martin can know this. You need somewhere to sit down? You good? You need to sit down? Oh, you got flip-flops on? Okay. So when it comes to communicating frustrations, is the frustration that you can't express, or the frustration is that the other person, whoever they may be, is not getting what you're saying?
Where they're not getting what I'm saying. So you try to express it in different ways. So maybe it's not being understood one way, so you put it in different ways. But no matter how you try to explain it, you still feel like you're hitting a brick wall.
Okay. Well, I'll put it this way. There are certain things that may appear as brick walls, but sometimes you have to take things down brick by brick. The way that you take it down by brick is you express what your feelings are about a particular matter, and then if the person's not getting it, the question is not really, hey, do I need to force this person to understand? But then that's when you go to God about it. And you say, okay, this person's not getting it. God, please help them to see what I'm saying. I had to do that a lot early in my marriage, and she had to do that with me a lot early in our relationship too. Because there were some things I just didn't understand. I don't understand. Okay, I'm going to use one particular example. I just don't understand why you tired all the time. I don't understand. I want to hunch now. 1 o'clock in the morning, I'm feeling myself. Plies is on. I don't think that was Plies that long time ago. Master P is on. Ice Cream Man is going on. And I'm feeling myself and all this other stuff like that. And I say, I start grabbing and squeezing and stuff like that. And I'll be like, you want to do something? You'd be like, I'm tired. I'm tired. Now, I would talk to her all night about my frustrations. And it would seem like I'm getting to a brick wall. There's a classic example. But then I had to stop because you can't make anybody do anything. And so I went to God about that particular area at that time. And I said, God, please help me to understand what's going on. And things began to change twofold. First of all, I had a conversation with her about what's dealing with the tiredness, what's going on. And she had fibroids. And with fibroids, it wipes out your energy. And I didn't know that. Now, she didn't want to say that because my wife is a tough cookie. But I lack compassion. And so then that helped me to understand. But my need didn't disappear. It just helped me to understand. That's where the grace kicked in. So I was like, okay, well, let me go ahead and get some money together, and I'm going to take her to the hospital and see if I can get those things removed, because my need is still my need. So I solved the problem. And sometimes she still says she's tired, but then I talk to her about it, and I start thinking, okay, what did she do all day today? Okay, it was mentally taxing day today. So physically she's fine, but mentally this thing up here, if that's taxing, she ain't trying to hear. So I had to point to myself and be like, okay, well, I need to set the mood, help her to relax. I know what she likes. I can't tell y'all that because I don't want y'all trying to do nothing strange. I'll put my paws on you. Y'all think I'm playing. I ain't playing. But I did those particular things, and then over time, my prayer began to be realized. But what was the change? I had to change me first. I had to change how I was approaching things, and I had to give the person grace until God worked his way through that particular situation. So a lot of it has to do with the way that you see things first. In other words, be the example that you want to see with the other person. Because we all know that sometimes when we're trying to get that person to understand a whole bunch of stuff, we are still holding our position. And they're also praying for us to change our mind when it comes to certain things too. And sometimes, if you're holding a grudge against another person, they know full well what you're talking about. But they decide not to do it to punish you because they haven't forgiven you for what you did. I'm not saying y'all, I'm just saying. Sometimes folk do that. Sometimes pettiness happens that way. Sometimes you make a person pay by purposely misunderstanding what they're saying. Ooh, Lord. Go ahead, I saw a question. Any other question? Oh, yes, I'm gonna go to you ready? Oh, see, go ahead. All right, come on, Alicia. Anybody else got any suggestions for that? When working with people, all right, like how do you create the fine balance between working? I put myself in this particular category. All right, so Lady Martin and I work in the ministry together. Okay, Lady Martin and I are both. She's an alpha female and I'm an alpha male. So we a lot about certain stuff. And I could talk rough, and she could talk rough too. Now, she's a little bit softer than me when it comes to certain things, but I think it's because we are not trying to hurt each other, but we have strong opinions, and we ain't budging when it comes to certain things. So with us, things got to make sense before we give our ground. All right. So we work in ministry together. We have our own careers. Both of us are very good at what we do. So what I was telling somebody the other day, and I've had this conversation with her too, is folding your wings. The concept of folding your wings is when you know that you got wings, the wings indicate that you have talent, knowledge, skills, and abilities that could help your significant other take off. But sometimes those wings, if they try to take off at the wrong time, they could be seen as a hindrance more than a help. So this is where humility has to come in, which is, okay, I know that I know more in this particular area, but maybe it's not the right time. Let me choose a better time to talk about this. So when it comes to working with each other, as the lead, I have to purposely let my wife know, especially when it comes to ministry stuff, that there are going to be times when I'm your husband, and there's other times when I am the pastor. And sometimes there's a blurred line at times, because sometimes she'll treat me like her husband when I'm trying to be the pastor. But my wife does have a special key to unlock code to unlock the husband more than the pastor, because I'm going to be her husband longer than the pastor. You get that? So there's special access that she gets. So yes, we may work together, but I'm not going to keep and just say, well, I'm your pastor, you're just going to do what I tell you to do, da, 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 da. No, I'm going to be my husband more. But I have to clearly indicate now, when it's time for me to be Pastor Martin, and I need you to do this with the bills, and I need you to do this, then you need to follow those instructions. You have to. And what she does in order to help me is, she also treats me, sometimes she'll say Pastor Martin in front of other people. So she helps, we both help each other in that particular area. There was a time when I would call her Nikitra in front of everybody at the church. And then the members start calling her Nikitra too. Hold on a minute, Andre, don't do that. Because she also wanted to have a separation between wife and first lady. So when she's in front of you all, I say Lady Martin, but at the house, I say Keitra, baby, chocolate bunny, you know, I say that. Oh, okay, I can see, all right, I'm sorry. What is it? All right. Oh, okay, all right. But the fine line, this is what I would call boundaries. You both have to, or your friend has to set a boundary on what can't be crossed. What can't be crossed. At the same time, my wife and I also have separate offices too. So she has her roles. This is like, if I was a boss, I would have a job description that says, these are the things that you are supposed to do in your particular job description. So that way, her stuff won't overlap into my particular area, and my stuff won't overlap into her particular area. So as a boss or as a leader, that way we won't cross hairs and then end up hurting or offending each other, because we are married. So it's a fine line that you have a balance. So to wrap that part up, have clear job descriptions on whatever roles that you have, and stick with those roles. The person has to know when they're a boss and when they're the husband. Maybe, just maybe, the husband role and the wife role is during lunch, before work starts, or on break. But then when y'all are at the job, everything has to be about business. It can't be business all the way through, because y'all are husband and wife. Thank you for the question. Anything else? Good. Go ahead.
Okay, so my first question was about the forgiveness that you went over. You talked about how spouses can bring problems from like their past relationships into their current relationships, and it'll cause like turmoil. But what if it's a little deeper and it's not like a past girlfriend or boyfriend, but it's like they have issues with like their mom and their dad that they haven't forgave them yet, so that's bringing issues and toxic into your relationship.
Okay. When you want to go ahead? Go.
Yes, it's all about communication. If you are able to get to the root of the issue, then you are making progress. And I can speak on that because early in our marriage, I had a lot of anger, a lot of bitterness in my life because of my parents and because of things that happened to me in the past, because of betrayal and things that that happened to me, with, I'm just going to say it, with my father. I had a very, very rough relationship with my father, physically abusive, mentally abusive, but in the pulpit every Sunday. And because I grew up seeing this hypocrisy, I was very, very angry, very, very bitter towards the male person in general. I always said I would never get married. I can do my own thing. I'm Miss Independent. I did work 3 jobs in college. I did make sure I got my degree. I did make sure that I was working because I didn't want to get married because I didn't want to go through what my mom went through. Fast forward, I met him, totally opposite person. However, he would say certain things and they would be triggers of something that I've heard in the past. And once I heard that, oh, it's on. I'm lashing out. I'm hitting, I'm fighting, I'm scratching, I'm biting, I'm doing whatever I need to do to make sure that he's not going to put his hands on me. He's not going to do what my father did to me. And so it goes very, very deep. But with that, it's communication and then helping that person heal and reassuring that person that he would always tell me, I am not your father. I am not that person that did that to you. But for me, it took time for me to actually heal and come to the conclusion that, yes, this person does love me. No, this person is not the same person that I grew up with. So it takes effort and work on both parties. It takes time. It took him time to understand where I was coming from and what happened to me, because he didn't have that in his life. So it took time. I had to communicate, which I didn't want to because I had built up all these walls. But I had to slowly let the walls down. He had to slowly come in and address the issues one by one.
And the other part is, because I know you're particular about that. The other part is that, oh, that's my mic? Oh, okay, yeah, got spit on it. All right. It's brown at the top. But the bottom line is that some people want nanotechnology healing. Like Tony Stark. You watch Infinity Wars, if you don't know what nanotechnology is. In other words, he's able to just take off the arm and put it on just with a snap of a button. Or like the Wolverine, scar on his chest, He heals up. The healing factor just heals up just like that. I always say this. In the situation with her, the abusive situation that she went through in her life, I always thought to myself, okay, she was in that household for at least 18 years. At least. I've been married to her maybe 1 or 2 or 3 years, or maybe 5 years. So, unless it's an act of God, healing sometimes is going to take a long time. It is not overnight, because if you had poison for 18 years, you may be a knight in shining armor, and I'm talking male or female. You may be the best thing since Jiffy peanut butter, sliced bread, and everything. But things don't happen overnight. Detox doesn't happen overnight. And so, just the other day, and this is when the investment comes in, because I didn't want to, because sometimes she hurt me because of the pain that she went through. But I said to her, I remember this one time, I'll tell you the story. There's one time, she was sitting in the bathtub, and I think we had our clothes on in the bathtub. No, we didn't have no clothes on. Okay. We didn't. So we were sitting in the bathtub, and she was mad at me about something. And you know the faucet, that faucet, that sharp faucet that's hanging out from the bathtub? My back was up against it. And I made her hot, or she was mad about something, and she took her foot and put it in my chest and pressed my back up against the thing. I was like, ah, in my brain. But I'm a hard hammer knocker too, so I told her, I was like, you can do whatever you want to me, I ain't leaving. I didn't haul off and slap her. I didn't do nothing crazy, because I knew where she was coming from. When you understand somebody's pain, the level of compassion has to come up. It's not, well, fix it tomorrow or I'm leaving. People don't heal fast. So now we've been together 18, 20 years. So I can now tell her, I've been your husband longer than you've been at your house. I've outlasted the poison. And so we don't have that issue any longer, but it took time. And I love her even more now than back then, and I am so glad that I held on and I was able to absorb the poison that was in her life. That's what happens when you have a stronger person in a relationship who doesn't have all the toxicity. God sent you to that person to absorb the poison in their life. But you got to spit it out too. That's when you go and recharge. You don't keep it in. Keeping it in is when you don't understand the other person's pain. When they're going through, you take it in, you got to spit it out. You can't just keep it in. All right. Any other questions? Anybody have a question about Hennessy, cigarettes, and Pell Mell? Okay, that's next week. All right, go ahead.
All right, so I know I know about like love language. I don't know if everybody knows about like love languages. But yeah. So love languages, like some people's love
Don't mess with it, Al.
languages
Okay, go ahead.
are like gifts. Some people's love languages are acts of service. Some people's love languages are physical touch. Some people's love languages, I think there's a fourth one, but I can't remember what it is. Words of affirmation, yes. So how do you cope with you having one set of love languages and your spouse having another set of love languages, but it being something that their love language is not something that you relate to, and your love language not something that they can relate to, and in fact, the love languages, let's say what she needs, just being sure, what she needs
It's not what you need.
is not, well, her love language is express what she needs expressed to her is not something that
You good at giving?
it's easy for me to express. Matter of fact, it's something that I loathe expressing at sometimes. So it's hard for me to do it because it's not something that I specifically am good at, and it's
Marriage takes work.
Yes.
If it was easy, then everybody would be married.
And there will be no divorces.
Yes. Marriage takes work. You have to put forth the effort regardless of how you feel. By the same token, she has to put forth the effort regardless of how she feels. His love language, I know his love language. He knows my love language. Sometimes he doesn't want to address my love language. And then there were also times when he didn't exactly know what it was, so he had to study me. And I had to study him. What brings joy to that person's life? And I have to do that. And so with that being said, as long as it's not something crazy off the wall, you know, but even if it takes you out of your comfort zone, you still have to work at it because you are married, and marriage is about compromising. Marriage is about being there for each other and serving each other in every capacity that you can. That's really,
Sometimes you got to get out of your feelings.
yeah.
That's that maturity level thing right there. Oh my goodness.
Because the thing about it is, when you were single, it was all about you. It was everything that you want. I get to do. I get to do me. I get to be me. Everything that I want, I get it. But then when it comes to adding that other person, you got to learn how to serve. It's not always about receiving. You got to learn how to serve.
Jamar, can you put that? I'm sorry. Let me do this. I'm gonna go back and click it backwards. Is it working? I need to put the umbrella up there if you could do it for me, Al. When it comes to that, and I want to get the umbrella. Can y'all put it up there for me? It's on PowerPoint. Second screen, left hand side. Go to the umbrella. But anyway, on the umbrella, it's at the very beginning, second screen from the. All right, stop right there. So this part right here is what you got to do in that area. This one right here. Lead. You have to demonstrate what you have to demonstrate first and give to her first. Better word, sacrifice. You got the prop time. DeJuan, can you grab me that cross right there? You're going to be Jesus just for a moment. You're going to be black Jesus. So come on up here. So as he's walking up here, everybody has their cross that they got to bear individually. But then when you're in a relationship with somebody, and I just want to say a relationship with somebody, sometimes you got to get crucified. Crucify your flesh. I can't stand it. I don't want it. I'll give you one example. I don't like hugs. Are y'all surprised at that? I don't like hugs. I actually kind of repulsed by it. Now, if I hug you at church, that's because God has worked on me. But most of the time I do the church hug. I'd rather shake your hand or do something like that. But I really don't like it. But if you don't know why I don't like it, you'd be like, see, that's why I ain't going to come to church. See, that's why I don't come to church. All that foolishness. No. The reason why I don't like hugs is because my mom didn't hug us growing up. So I figured it was just normal. And my dad didn't do it either. Now that they've gotten older, they do it now, but my mama grabbed me and hugged me like a bear. She hugged me real tight, like, whoo, whoo, and then that's it. My dad does the chest bump thing. And it's kind of like this awkward moment. So, Lady Martin loves hugs. She says, her face says, hug me. My face don't say hug me. My face says, I'm going to pull up, just like I did that boy that was messing with Jaden just the other day. That's what my face says. But what I had to do is I had to come and hold this for me, Dawn. All right. I had a choice to either crucify my flesh and get on the cross, or I had to get off and stay off. Nobody wants to get up there. It's painful.
it costs, they ain't do nothing for me. That cross ain't do nothing for Jesus. The people that were around him, they didn't do nothing for him, but he knew he had to do it anyway. What greater love that a man has than the one that's willing to lay down his life? So that umbrella right there, as the husband, you got to sacrifice yourself. And you got to fake it until you make it. Can I say this? Just like sometimes the ladies fake the orgasm. Hopefully you don't have to. Why you put your head down, brother? y'all just say, Pastor Martin, wow, he wow. You right. Sometimes that happens just so she could get you off of her like, mister, go ahead, do what you got to do. But they give their bodies anyway, right? They sacrifice, right? They don't want to all the time, especially when you didn't say you were sorry the last couple of weeks ago for what you did. Oh, I know I'm preaching better than y'all looking at me. But then, when it comes to you, you got to do the same thing. Man, I don't want to give you affection in this particular area. This is just not my thing. Man, ain't nothing wrong with me. I ain't got no dysfunction. I just can't stand it. But what would you rather? Have the other person be upset with you? Because the woman or the wife is the weaker vessel, not in strength, but you handle her delicately. That's what it means by weaker vessel. So you got to put yourself up on the cross. For me, it was hugs. So I got to put myself on the cross. And I got to do this. Even now. Oh, God. Most of the time, I like this. Other times, I let my guard down. I'm like, okay. And I give her the hug. So I submit myself to her. I sacrifice myself. Now, what ends up happening is that I show her that I can humble myself, and then she gets what she needs, and then I get what I need later on. Somebody said, right, real loud. All right now. Hey, glory. Okay. You go ahead and put the cross back over there. Oh, you said but. So you normally when you say but, you might as well just disregard everything that I just said.
No, I mean, but what if, like, in the instance, like, I understand and practice what was just said to me, but on the other end, it's not reciprocated.
Okay. I'm giving my heart to you, but I ain't getting nothing in return. Sometimes reciprocation is a long arc. It's a long arc. And sometimes you just have to keep on doing it. But I know this. If you put a significant investment in something, eventually you're going to get a return. It's just like this ministry. Joel Hunter, who's the former pastor of Northland, he was just saying, when it comes to ministry, and marriage is like a ministry, relationships are like a ministry, sometimes you just got to hang around and be patient and wait, but you don't stop coming to church. You don't stop preaching and teaching just because everybody's not listening or they look like they don't listen. Sometimes the very person that just look like is the very person that's listening. They're distracted because that word is hitting them like a ooh, 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 ooh. They just want to get out of there, but they know you're right. They know you're right. So in that particular instance, sometimes you just have to continue to invest. You continue to invest. Otherwise, both of y'all will go to separate ways. Well, you ain't doing that for me, I ain't doing that for you. Because that's how the world does stuff. The world does it where if you do something for me, I do something for you. That's how unsaved people function. You come to my church, I come to your church. You do something free for me, Pastor Martin, I'll do something free for you. If you do this for me, then I'll do this for you. But I'll tell you this, nobody should ever do anything for free. Because when you do stuff for free, the other person has in their mind an automatic discount. And they see a lower value than that. So, for you, you have to continue to invest. You don't hold back just because the other person is not reciprocating. Sometimes it's just a big, giant reservoir. You just got to think of it just like that. But the devil have you thinking it's just going in one ear and right out the other. But not really. No. You just have to keep continually. If you love her, then you just got to keep on doing what you got to do. Sometimes, what if it takes 3 years for the investment to get a return on it? What happens if, okay, this ain't no mega church, so I'm going to stop after the 3rd year, after the 5th year? People tell me I'm going to be here next Sunday, the great word, and then I'll never see them again. Should I stop? They'll go to the church that's abusing them like I don't know what, and they'll stay there for 15 years, but here they'll get the truth, and they'll still leave. What? Should I stop? No, because I see it as an investment, and I love the people. So I just keep on going, and whoever will receive, will receive. In your particular case, or for a friend, your friend's particular case, you keep on giving and giving, because the other person is isn't cutting you off from everything. That's the extreme. Now, if it is that extreme, we need to talk. But if they're still doing some other good things, then that's what you seize upon. Just like with everybody in here. Not everybody in here is going to listen. Not everybody in here that should be here is here tonight. But the people who are here, guess what? I'm going to give everything I got to you. I'm going to focus on the ones who are here. I'm going to focus on the ones who are trying to do right versus the ones who are hard-headed. That's what you do. You focus on what's the positive versus the negative. Any other questions? I got one more in the 5 minutes we have remaining. Okay. Anything else? All right. Go ahead, my brother.
Just a short thing. You deal with what you value. If you value that person to your heart, you're going to deal with anything that they go through and what you go through to keep that relationship going as long as possible. So I was just going back on what you were saying earlier. You just deal with what you value. So.
Deal with what you value. Now, the question is, do you believe that they're worth the investment? If you believe they're worth the investment, then you got to ride the wild donkey and keep on going. Anybody else? Anybody else want to keep it 100? I'll keep it 100 with you. I'm a wild man. I'll say anything. So you might as well keep talking. Anything else? All right, one more last question. Okay.
You deal with what you value, but what if your spouse doesn't value what you value?
Okay. Your spouse or your significant other, your bae, your boo thing, y'all not the same person. And since y'all are not the same person, they don't have to see or view life the same way that you do, because if they were the same person, that means you don't need to grow in any area of your life. Differences make you grow. Differences make you grow. So, there's some areas in my life that I had to grow in. I had to grow into not just wanting lovely, hot relations, and I had to learn how to be more intimate with my wife. Because inside of my growing up, everybody was just tough. Mama didn't hug. We were just tough, grew up in the neighborhood. They loved us. I knew she loved me, but my mama would talk me to death. And so because my mama would talk me to death, I would talk Lady Martin to death. And I figure if I'm talking to you for this long time, you know I love you, don't you? It's kind of like with anything. After about 6 months or so, I don't need to say I love you every day. You should just know that. That's what I thought was my philosophy. Then after a while, I had to demonstrate it, and I have to say it. So, no, you're not going to be the same person. You're not going to have the same likes and dislikes, but that's the beauty of it. God has nothing in common with us. Nothing. But he still deals with us and loves us unconditionally. So likewise, if you can handle the other person's differences, then you might see a different side of life. My wife, she does not like seafood. She's not going to grow in that area. But I'm not going to divorce her because she don't like seafood. And what she will try to do is that she's not going to eat it, but she'll take me to a place where I can eat it. And she'll just watch me, and she'll still get chicken on the side. My wife eat 3 things, chicken and beef. That's it. Ain't enough. 3? You'll get some oxtails every now and then. But she's different from me, and I like that because I don't want somebody to act like me. You know, people don't want to deal with me. I don't even want to deal with me sometimes, and it's boring. So it's good sometimes to have differences with each other. Anything else? All right, this is session 1. Y'all worked the brother tonight, boy. Ooh, Lord have mercy. Father, thank you for this time. I thank you for these, your people. I thank you for the patience. I thank you for the patience of these, your people, as they get themselves together to go ahead and go forward tonight, Lord God. I believe that this is worth it.
Even for those that maybe watch this or listen to this at a later date, Lord God, I hope and pray that there's some wisdom that could be imparted that would be beneficial. I thank you, Lord God, for your kindness, your mercy, and your grace. And I also pray a special prayer for anybody who's going through the fire right now, Lord God. Tell them in the Spirit to give it to you. Give it to you. I hear that in the Spirit right now. Whatever you can't control, give it to God and be content. In Jesus' name, amen. Amen. All right. I'm done. I'm done. I'm done. I'm done. I'm done.